Well, welcome back to Game Smash. As always, I'm your host, William Liberty, and today with me is...
Who was Muhammad Yusuf?
And we're just going to dive right into what we've been playing today. Well, I recently just got the Telltale's Game of Thrones game.
Okay.
And I actually think it was pretty damn awesome. It was way better than the Borderlands one I played recently. It really captures the feel of Game of Thrones. So, and like even some of the actors are actually in it, like Peter Dinklage, and some of the other actors. I think the actor who plays Cersei and stuff like that actually voice character, actress. Yeah, sorry. But the best thing about it was there was no lag. Like there was no, how I said in the last games, there was always that issue whenever they would save a decision, the game would just like shit the bed. Well, it didn't do it this time, and I was really happy to see that.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Have you? How many playthroughs have you made of it?
I've done one. I'm actually uploading one to the channel right now, so you'll be able to check it out. That's not chilling at all. But yeah, I think it's still got a couple of decisions that if you take a certain route, no matter what you do, a certain thing is gonna happen. But to be honest, like the thing that does happen is pretty freaking sick. I won't say any more, but it was one of those like, wow, I actually legitimately didn't see that coming.
Okay. See, like I'm cool with I mean, I totally understand that with a game can be completely open-ended. You can't have like a million different outcomes. That's just impractical, right?
Yeah.
But my issue with I mean, you know about my problems with Walking Dead was the fact that nothing you did actually mattered. So so long as some decisions matter, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Well, like even in the first episode, like it's not really a spoiler, but there's a point in the episode where it's like you can choose to pick up like on two different items or just walk away. And I have a feeling that that's going to really affect the story later on, or at least it's going to affect the kind of opportunities that you have with this character. And I think what I like about it is that in Walking Dead, you obviously you only play as one character. You play as Clementine. But in Game of Thrones, you actually play as several different characters. So okay. I feel like it allows you to kind of make different decisions with different characters. So if it's like this character is in a situation where she has to be more cunning, so you might lie a lot more with this character. Or this character needs to be, a leader and needs to be more honorable, so you might make all the goody two-shoe decisions with that character.
Okay.
So
Okay.
kind of like that. And other than that, I played some more Skullgirls, just having fun. And I had my friend over to play Skullgirls, and he fucking hates it. He just hates Skullgirls, and I think it's just because he hates these kinds of fighting games in general. And I was trying to talk to him, like, so what is it that you really don't like about it? And he basically said that he doesn't like the fact that he has to memorize all these different movesets. And he can only play one character. And he thinks that the movesets should be simplified or something like that. So, what do you think about that, was like?
Well, I mean, that, it's an honest complaint. I mean, that's why we have different types of fighting games, right? For different types of people. For example, the game that I've been playing this past week, check out that segue.
Yeah.
Is Guilty Gear, which is also a fighting game, and it's ludicrously complicated, right? Let me using Street Fighter 4 as an example.
Yeah.
In Street Fighter 4, most of the the characters are different, but the system itself is easy,
Yeah.
Like, let me give you an example of what I mean. In Guilty Gear, you have three different types of blocking. Let's just start off with that. You have your regular blocking, you have instant blocking, and you have, I think barrier blocking was what it was called.
Yeah.
Like the system itself has so many things that you have to learn. There are counterattacks. There's like two different types of counterattacks in the game. There's in Street Fighter 4, there's this thing called the focus attack dash cancel, or FADC, where you spend 2 bars to cancel one of your moves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guilty Gear has 3 different versions of that, right? You've got your burst, which is this thing that you do when you're in the middle, when you're getting comboed, you burst and it breaks. It's like a combo breaker. You know, you get freed from the combo. There's 3 different versions of that in the game, right? So like, it is so, there's so much to learn, right? And it's so, and that's just the system. That's not even getting into the individual characters themselves. Like, one thing that that Guilty Gear is known for is very, very, very unique characters. Because, you know, I love Street Fighter, right? But, you know, and like Ken and Ryu are different, right?
Yeah.
But there are underlying similarities.
Yeah, there's some characters that feel very similar to one another.
Yes, there's some like Guilty Gear characters are so unique. Mm-hmm. So like you learn one character and you just learn, like in Street Fighter 4, in some fighting games you can learn one character and then carry over those fundamentals to other characters.
Right.
And that does apply to some characters in Guilty Gear. Like let me not get too carried away here. But like the characters are so unique in this game. So I can definitely understand why somebody would just, I mean, you know, some people don't want video games that they have to study, right? I mean, I totally understand that. So, you know, your friends' complaints of Skullgirls, like, I don't agree with them, but they're not like...
It's one of those things that I feel... It's one of those things that really pushes away, you know, just some gamers in general from fighting games, because it requires so much. You got to sit down and you actually gotta work to... you know, you got to work immediately just to understand the basic mechanics.
Yeah, exactly. Because fighting games themselves are not very accessible. So then on top of that, you now have fighting games like Guilty Gear and Skullgirls that are now really inaccessible. Yeah. On top of that, which actually brings me to my point about Guilty Gear. I started playing it last week and I got bodied. Like I didn't even play online. I was playing against the computer and I was getting bodied. Like, and I don't consider myself a professional fighting game player or anything like that. But I put in a lot of time into Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and Street Fighter 4. So, you know, I think I have very solid fundamentals. So I thought that those would help. And honestly, I mean, they did. After I got bodied the first time, you know, I took some time out. I watched some footage of the character I was playing to try to get a better grip of a better understanding of how to play him, what normals I should be using, and then you know I cleared the arcade mode. But the fact that it took me to clear the arcade mode just shows how difficult this game can be to pick up. So I'm still learning. I'm excited. I'm excited because this is the first brand new fighting game I've picked up since Injustice, like about a year ago.
Yeah, that must have been like at least a year ago.
Yeah, like a year and a half ago. Yeah. So yeah, this is the first new fighting game I've picked up since Injustice, and Guilty Gear was one of my favorite fighting games on my Xbox. I didn't play it seriously. I was like 15 years old. I just used to hit buttons and stuff. But now I'm actually really excited to pretty much. I'm actually really excited to learn the game. So that's the game I've been playing. Yeah.
All right. Other than well, I knew you'd have to sneak that in at least once.
It wouldn't be a podcast without me saying Hearthstone at least. So you've gotten that out of the way.
We've gotten that out of the way. All right. So on to some video game news. Street Fighter 5. They showed an extended trailer that was actually like full gameplay. I think it was it Ryu and Chun-Li? Yeah. All right. So what are your thoughts on it so far, Fawaz?
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
I didn't like it. Okay, let me explain some. Street Fighter 4 was the first fighting game I played seriously. Like it's like I always loved fighting games, but it is what got me into the fighting game community. But once I played Marvel vs. Capcom 3, I just couldn't go back to Street Fighter 4 because of how slow it was. Yeah. And then I watched the footage of Street Fighter 5, and it looks even slower. Like they look like they were fighting on the water. And
You don't think that was like a specific aesthetic thing that they did for the trailer itself, or do you think it's just like because the actual gameplay demo could be a lot different from what they've shown in the trailer? Like they might have just slowed things down to make it more epic and easier to look at the moves. But I don't know. But yeah, you're more of an expert in this field than I am.
Yeah, definitely still gonna keep my eye on it. But my first impressions, I was not impressed. I was not impressed. It was really really slow, and it was just that's just like that's just my own. It was just too slow. It was too. They're introducing some new mechanics like a power up mode for each character, and you just like break walls and stuff like that. So like I said, I'm gonna keep my eye on it, see what's up. But yes, first impressions,
Me. All right, continuing with fighting games, Riptor was announced for Killer Instinct. And I know nothing about Killer Instinct, but the idea of being able to play as a cybernetic dinosaur is freaking awesome.
It is freaking awesome. A little bit of trivia real quick. Did you know that Riptor is actually a female?
Really?
Yes. Because,
I don't want to ask how you know that.
Wouldn't you like to know? No, when it was announced, I was looking through the comment sections on showyoucan.com, and just a lot of people just reiterating the fact that Riptor is a female. Some people people would refer to her as a him, and someone would correct them. So just a little bit of trivia there. But Killer Instinct is one fighting game that I'm probably not going. I haven't had a chance to play it yet because I don't own an Xbox One. But it has a very interesting and unique model. For those that don't know, the game itself is free to play.
Yes.
You just buy the individual characters. You can if you want you can buy there's bundles with the entire cast in them.
Yeah.
But if you just want to play with one character, you can just pay for one character and you have access to the entire game. Some people hate it. I actually think it's a very, very interesting system.
Yeah, because for me, who's just started playing fighting games, like for Skullgirls, which I've been playing, I only play like 2 characters because that's all I can really master. I mean, I might switch to others from time to time, but for the most part, there are going to be people who it's like, this is the character I want to get really, really good at, and that's all I really need. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's. I mean, obviously the full package is a little over because the original game was about $40. It came with 8 characters, all the modes, a bunch of customizable stuff for your characters, and no, not 8 characters. Sorry, 10 characters, which actually isn't bad now that I'm thinking about it, considering Blaze Blue was $40 for 12 characters. But I digress. I find the system very interesting. As for the game itself, like I said, I watched some footage of it, and it's a fun game. They've got this rock paper scissors mechanic with really easy. The combos in the game are really really easy. But then to counteract that, there's this system in the game called the combo breaker system, where if you guess right if you guess that your opponent next move is going to be a light, medium, or a heavy, you can counter that and you can break out of the combo. But then the third part of that is that there's a counter breaker system where if you guess that your opponent is going to try to break your combo, you can do something which like resets the damage scaling and increases the amount of damage the rest of the combo does. So it's really interesting and it's really fun. It can be fun to watch sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. But I'll just have to keep an eye on that. Also, another game I'm sure you're excited for, Evolve. They announced I think it was their last monster, the Wraith.
Monster, the Wraith, who is also female, by the way.
Yeah. All these female monsters, dinosaurs,
But Evolve is a game I've been keeping. It's one of my most anticipated next gen titles because it's so different from everything else that's on the market right now. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some hipster that's going to come in the comment section and be like, excuse me, XX this specific PC exclusive did it like 20 years ago. But as of right now, in terms of the mainstream media, there's nothing like it. So I'm really really intrigued by the game.
It seems good, yeah.
Titanfall and complain that it doesn't have enough content, which is a legitimate worry. But for me, I'm like, these are the guys who made Left 4 Dead, so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
And plus, when you think about it, Left 4 Dead, like content-wise, when it shipped, it had like like it had about like I want to say 5, 6 levels, but you got a lot of replay value out of those levels because the spawns were always random, and you never like you could get a hunter immediately, or you could get no hunters for like 20 minutes or something like that. So like that's what made that game, really fun, because you could just replay with your friends over and over and over again. So if this game can do something similar to that, then I don't mind there only being a select few monsters to fight against, or a select few of maps, because it's more about if you're having a smaller kind of game like that, it's just being able to play it over and over again and still have fun.
Yes, yes. Well, also for those that don't know, the concept behind Evolve, sorry, I should have done this earlier, is that there are 4 hunters, four class. It's a class-based shooter where you have 4 hunters, medic, a support, heavy, and a tracker. Your typical quartet, and who are set on a map to hunt down a monster. Now, all five players are controlled by all 5 characters are controlled by actual people. The monster starts off at level 1, and then at the beginning, it's their job to run around the map, feed, and try to level up. While the hunters are trying to find the monster, they use the monster leaves footprints. So they use the footprints, and they can use the carcasses of the animals that the monster has eaten. And there are birds all around the map that if the monster runs past them, they'll scare them. So it's a cat and mouse thing. If the hunters get the monster early, they have this thing. The tracker has this thing called the mobile arena, where he throws down and it locks the monster in with the hunters, and then the hunters can just go to town on it. But once the monster hits level 3, things turn around, because now the monster is fully powered, and it's a boss pretty much. It's a boss character controlled by a real player, and the objective on the map changes to a power relay that the monster can destroy. I watched some gameplay of the alpha, and it's really fun because the different dynamics change over the course of the match.
It's like a power struggle, because you're always kind of like trying to tip the balance in your favor. And whoever obviously does do that, it starts to go further and further your direction. So. Yeah, I do like that aspect of it, where it's like you start the game relatively even, and then depending on how you do for like the next 10 minutes will really affect how things go in the next. You
see, that's the thing, though. That's the difference between this and other multiplayer shooters, is that you don't start the game even. When the game starts, the monster is at a severe disadvantage. If the hunters catch the monster before it hits level 2, it is game over. Like, you would have to be a very, very, very skilled player playing against some imbeciles to lose to a level 1 once. Like to beat hunters at level 1. But then once you hit level 3, then things flip the other way around, and the hunters are now at the disadvantage. Especially, another thing is that the monsters don't regenerate health, so any damage done to the monster is permanent. So if you've done enough damage to the monster, by the time they hit level 3, even though they are so powerful, they won't have enough health to chew through your entire team. So it's really cool. And then that's only one of the modes, actually. There are 3 other modes. There's a mode called Nest Mode, which there's 6 eggs on the map that the monster is trying to protect, and then the hunters go around the map and try to destroy the eggs. What makes this interesting is that the monster can hatch one of those eggs to spawn a mini version of the monster to deal with the hunters. And then there's another mode, Rescue, where there's a bunch of survivors on the map that the hunters are trying to evacuate, and the monster is trying to stop them. So it's, and then another thing is that this is the last thing on Evolve.
Before we
is
move
that
on.
there's 3 monsters and 12 hunters, 3 for each class, and every single one is unique. Like, the 3 medics are completely unique. One of the medics, she uses a healing gun to heal her teammates. And she has a sniper rifle, which hits when it hits the monster, it creates a weak spot, and then any damage done to that weak spot does extra damage. And then she has a tranquilizer dart, which slows down the monster, and the hunters can see the monster through walls. The other medic uses a grenade launcher to heal her teammates. So the healing gun for the first medic tracks teammates. This one is like a skill shot. And then she has like a napalm grenade launcher, and she has this adrenaline boost that gives all of her teammates speed boosts. So even between the classes, there's a lot of
There is a
variety.
lot
So
of variety between
yeah,
like
I
yeah,
think the game is going to have some decent legs. I think once people actually get out there, because like everyone that
yeah,
has a lot of people that have played it have been like that. It's just so much fun. So
yeah,
I think the game's going to have decent legs when it comes out. But yeah,
yeah, exactly.
that's
All right,
about.
and off from that, last on our list is Tomb Raider. Just apparently is getting a miniseries. Later, either next year or sometime next year. Now, I also when I was talking to you about this earlier, I kind of asked you like, do you think personally video game miniseries are have a better chance of success than video game movies? So personally, I think they kind of do because with a video game movie, you're strict to the amount of time that you have, to tell the story or stuff like that. Where I feel as with a
Yeah.
miniseries, you have a little bit more time to explain things, to try and get the audience. All right, this is the world, this is the characters, and I find with miniseries is like half of them don't even have to follow, like the game's protagonist, which I feel is the biggest problem with a lot of video game movies is that they say, oh, like, this character has to be in the movie regardless of whether or not it would actually work in a movie. But I don't know,
Okay.
like, what do you think about that? Like,
Well, I think similar to book adaptations. It depends on the source material. I think the problem with video game movies is not any of that. The problem with video game movies is that they've been made by idiots. Plain and simple. Like the Resident Evil. Okay, Resident Evil is probably the best video game. Like Hitman should not be a difficult game to adapt, even
it
into a live
shouldn't. It
action
really
movie. And your
shouldn't.
your argument your argument about length is it does make some sense until you remember the fact that Lord of the Rings was adapted into movies, into some of the best movies of this generation. And Lord
Yeah,
of the Rings is
yeah.
one of the biggest books like I have ever seen.
Yeah.
So I don't think any of that. I think I applaud them for trying something different. Let's hope this one works. But
Yeah.
I think the issue is just that the video game movies have just been made because and I think here's the thing is that most gamers are young.
Yes.
Most film directors are old. So I feel like most video game movies have been made by people who do not actually play video games. When
They
Star
don't
Wars
fully understand the source material,
they don't
which is a
fully
big
understand
problem.
the source material. They don't fully appreciate the source material. When Star Wars, no, not Star Wars, when Star Trek was remade in 2009, one of the reasons why the remake was so good was that the
Mhm.
people who are making the movie, they loved Star Trek growing up. Most directors, I bet you, you know what? Let me not assume, but most directors don't. I'm pretty sure most directors don't play video games. So I think that is the main problem is that most people that make video game movies do not care.
Yeah. I can totally
Yeah.
see that. But I think now it's like, I feel like this is an opportunity for the medium to get better because, now that video games are becoming a lot more mainstream than they were back in the day when the Tomb Raider movie just came out and stuff like that. It seems like this is a better opportunity for better quality. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like a miniseries would work better. I mean, like, plus we had two Tomb Raider movies already, and they were okay. So, but I'm
Yeah.
interested what a miniseries would be like. So,
I'm definitely gonna keep my eye on it. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. Like I said, I think it works either way. On one hand, Lord of the Rings, the movies were awesome, but then on the other hand, Game of Thrones, the TV series is awesome. So
yeah,
I
exactly.
think all that matters is that the person that makes it knows what the hell they are doing, which has been the problem so far. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm definitely gonna keep my eye on it. A Tomb Raider TV series can be really really awesome. I mean, she's a cool character and it's a cool concept. It's like an
yeah,
Indiana Jones TV series. So I'm
yeah,
gonna keep my eye
exactly.
on it for sure. Yeah.
And I thought we'd finally finish off with, since Christmas, it's coming soon, so everyone's rushing to get their games before before that big day. I thought we'd name a couple games that we think to get for Christmas, stuff
Okay.
like that. So I got five right here. So for any gamer who's looking for like an indie game that has really beautiful art and especially music, go for Transistor.
Crap. Gonna have to change
Yeah,
that.
go for yeah. You were gonna say that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well that's good. Then we can just both like say that. Okay, because Transistor's freaking awesome. Like the gameplay is great. It's strategic. It's got action. It's got action. And I like the idea of you slowing time and kind of picking where your character's gonna go and then choosing what move she's gonna do. It's a very kind of like stop, plan your moves, and then execute kind of gameplay.
Okay.
And but the other thing that is amazing about one, the visuals are astounding. It's
Yeah.
very beautiful art assets, and the music is so good. I know a game's music is good when I am actively going to iTunes and buying the soundtrack. Like, yeah,
You did it.
yeah,
Oh
I
my
did.
god.
I did. It's on my iPod right now. But that's what I mean. It's like it's a really, it's a really just polished indie game. Like I found very little to fault with it, other than maybe the story can be a little bit hard to get into because it's very vague. So you kind of have to analyze what's actually going on. But other than that, I think it's a really good game to pick up. Definitely for those who like indie art games. And then, of course, if you're just looking for a game to play with friends, that big old party game, Smash Brothers Wii U. You can't go wrong with another Smash Brothers. I mean, I picked it up. I had a blast. There's so many modes, and the fact that now you can create your own characters, and not just like the Wii, not just like the Mii characters. Like you can actually you can customize like Samus to have different types of move sets. It allows characters, yeah. Like it's a whole feature where you can unlock different moves for characters, and you can kind of create your own custom Samus or your custom Link. And what I like about that is that it allows for basically a lot of different styles of play with when you're playing as Link, there's only so many ways you can play as Link, but having all these custom moves that you can give him allows you to play Link in different ways and different strategies. And it's also just it's a really good pick up and play game. Like I had a couple of my cousins over, and they don't play video games that often, but I threw them a controller, and they were just able to pick it up and just have fun. Like, and I feel like that's always a really good thing for, especially games like that, where for like, party games, is that you should be able to pick it up and just have fun. But there is also that little bit of deeper gameplay for those who want to look for it.
Yeah.
So definitely, if you're looking for party games, I'd say Smash Brothers Wii U. If you have a Wii U, get it. It's just worth it. For the hardcore, for the ones who want to get their ass kicked by their game, I can't recommend Dark Souls 2 more enough. Dark Souls 2, it's fantastic. I feel like in a lot of ways people complain that Dark Souls 1 is maybe a little bit better than Dark Souls 2, but I feel like Dark Souls 2 is refined in a lot of ways, because in Dark Souls 1, like, it didn't explain half the stuff in the game. Like, literally that game should have been Dark Souls wiki included. You know what I mean? Because you would boot up the game and you'd have your laptop beside you with the wiki open so you can understand what the hell you should do next. In Dark Souls 2, you don't have that problem. And I feel like it's just a little bit more of a refined experience, and it's a little bit easier to get into, but not to the point where the game is easy, because the game is not easy. It's still hard, and I think the DLC, all the little DLC packs that came out for it are really good and really fun. Especially that ice one. That ice one has a really fantastic moment that I cannot spoil, but it's really good.
Okay.
And then finally, what I wanted to recommend, all the way from earlier this year, it's actually DLC. BioShock Infinite: Burial at Sea Episode 2. And the reason why I want to recommend this was because it felt like a much bigger and more conclusive ending to BioShock Infinite than the actual ending was. It's kind of hard to explain without spoiling it, but let me just say it harkens back to the original BioShock. in a lot of creative ways. It actually, I feel like it combines both the best points of BioShock and BioShock Infinite together into this really great, like, 4-hour DLC. And I think it's a really, really, really good DLC. It's probably the best BioShock DLC to come out so far. So those are my recommendations for this year. So go nuts. It's all you, Fawaz.
Okay. So I try to cover as many genres as possible here. So I'll just get right into it. My first recommendation is Dragon Age Inquisition.
Okay.
Yeah, I loved the first Dragon Age. I absolutely adored that game. Hated Dragon Age 2.
Yep, everyone.
But, it definitely seems like BioWare, they took a lot of fan feedback when making this game, and they put together just a beautiful RPG. They borrowed a lot of stuff from Skyrim. Hey, if you're gonna borrow from anyone, borrow from one of the best RPGs in recent memory.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. I'm not even gonna bother with the multiplayer, but some people actually genuinely enjoy it. I couldn't care less. But yeah, Dragon Age Inquisition. That's my first recommendation. My second recommendation is gonna be Bayonetta 2.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Well, just like Inquisition, I loved the first Bayonetta. So when I heard there was a sequel, I was all for it. I mean, the sequel, it doesn't really do anything new. It's just more Bayonetta. But if you're like me, there's absolutely nothing wrong with more Bayonetta. The plot is completely nonsensical. I skip most of the cutscenes, but the combat, I honestly do. But the combat is really, really, really deep. And in an era where Ninja Gaiden and Devil May Cry have both screwed the pooch, the Bayonetta is one of the last few really deep action games left on.
I feel like definitely Platinum Games. They know how to make action games.
They know how to make action games. Yes.
Yeah, they are saving the genre at this point.
Yes. My next recommendation is I'm gonna stay on the Wii U for my next recommendation.
Oh yeah.
Mario Kart 8.
Yes.
Yes, you recommended Smash Brothers. I'm gonna recommend the other Nintendo party game that came out this year. Mario Kart 8. It's just fun, but it's also it's fun, and it actually requires skill. I mean, sure. The blue shell has ended quite a few friendships. Let's just get that away right here. But in general, the game it's a lot of fun. I wish they would add some kind of track editor. But honestly, the tracks in the game are so unique and so much fun that it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, Mario Kart 8, lots of fun. Pick that up if you own a Wii U. Don't let anyone tell you that the Wii U doesn't have any fun games, because it really does.
Honestly, it's doing so much better this year. It's kind of glad to see, especially since Nintendo does need some successes.
My next recommendation is a game I just picked up recently.
Oh yeah.
Guilty Gear Xrd.
Yes.
Yes, it is a very complex fighting game. So there's going to be a barrier of entry, but the beautiful thing about the game is that it has a full tutorial mode that walks you through all the features of the core fighting of the core system. And on top of that, there's a challenge mode where it teaches you stuff like timing your anti-airs, timing. It's difficult. I was working on it and I was like, I'm not ready yet. Just took a quick break, but it walks you through all this stuff. So I appreciate a fighting game that acknowledges the fact that it is complicated and tries to help people get into that. On top of that, I mean, the story mode is pretty fun. I mean, the story it's not as nonsensical as Guilty Gear, as Bayonetta, but it can get pretty complicated sometimes. But there's a lot of content in this game. Let me just go with that. There's just so much to do. So yeah, pick that up. And then for my final game, I think everyone can guess what my last recommendation is.
Oh no.
Hearthstone Heroes of Warcraft. It's a free-to-play game.
So you don't have to spend any money. You can just download it.
Yes, you don't have to. But I would, if you don't have to spend any money. It's free-to-play. A lot of people have hit Legend, which is the highest rank on ladder, not using any money. Not going to say that, spending money makes it easier, and honestly, it makes it more fun. But for me, I'm like, if I'm enjoying the game, I don't mind spending more money on it. So I completely recommend Hearthstone. It's free-to-play, so, you can try it out. And if you don't like, if you find out it's not for you, you've lost nothing but a few hours of your day. But yeah, those are my five. Those are my 5 games.
Yeah.
I think I covered it nice.
Yeah, yeah. I think we both did. So
Yes.
I think that's a hefty list of games. Just buy them all. Just buy them all.
Buy them all.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. There you go. Problem solved. But anyway, I think we're gonna have to wrap it up. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment in the comment section, and we'll answer it on the next podcast. And as always, this has been Tanner Liberty, and
Was Muhammad Yusuf.
we'll see you guys next time. Game Smash Podcast.